Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day this year by Ventum Bikes. Loving my road bike, my NS1, my gravel bike, my GS1. George, when are you going to come around here and start getting on the GS1, the NS1? What is your problem? Do you not like do you not like fast, light, and cool bikes?
I'm far from perfect. I got several issues that I'm working my way through. But I agree with you. It's a great bike.
It's not perfect. What's the phrase? Our new phrase?
Yeah,
it's progress, not perfection.
The second time we've heard it. It's a special offer for our listeners. 10% off your first bike when you go to ventumracing.com/themove. Use the code WEDO at checkout. And if it doesn't get there within 3 weeks, another 10% off. Again, that's ventumracing.com/themove. And as we've been doing several times a week this year, we've got a rider of the day. All you got to do is tell us, send both at Ventum Racing and at WeDo.team on Instagram, tag us, and just tell us why cycling is important to you. Today we got, I think I'm going to say this right, it's Cretin Green. Looks like he's outside of Salt Lake. Go ride a bike. Growing up, I always saw my dad pedal away on his skinny tire bike, wearing tight clothes and his pockets stuffed with Fig Newtons, power bars, and water bottles filled with Gatorade mix. He'd be gone for hours, but always came back with a smile and a story to tell. I believe it made him a better person and helped him juggle the stresses of life, family, and work. I love biking for the same reasons. I get out, away from it all, and just pedal. Well said, Cretin Green.
And for those of you seeing the image, like he's out Salt Lake City. Looks like he's in.
It says he's in Salt Lake. Looks like he's in the desert. Sand, salt, whatever. Yeah. Talking about stage 12, mon ami Alain. Viens
Stage 12 from Briançon to Alpe d'Huez. From Briançon to Alpe d'Huez.
Alpe d'Huez. We always say Alpe d'Huez. Alpe d'Huez.
Which the man right here is on two of the corners of Alpe d'Huez. They put the winners of every Alpe d'Huez every year that the race is raced up it on one of the corners. Do you know which corners you're on?
21. So what they do, since there's 21 switchbacks, they count down the switchbacks for the amateur cyclist that's riding up there. And we got some Strava data that I think in the last year, 65,000 people have ridden up Alpe d'Huez, at least on Strava. So they count down the switchbacks. And so I'm on switchback 21 and switchback 19. Still there, haters.
We have photos of it, don't we?
We do. We're going to pull those up later. I'm joined by
socials. JB
Hager and George. What is it you say? Practice not perfect or something? What?
Progress.
Yes. Today's show also brought to you by Huckberry. Andy and Rich and the crew down there are curating the coolest stuff. Whether if you're an outdoors guy, fishing, cycling, camping, just outdoors, right? Check out the hat. I look dope in the hat. That's why I'm getting votes. We have curated a special box of stuff that myself and JB and George picked out. You can head on over to huckberry.com/Lance. You'll see the items that we sort of thought were cool for our look.
This hoodie is Huckberry, and it's not something I would find on my own.
Right.
It's super cool.
They got cool stuff, and the content they create is next level. They're doing an excellent job. Today also brought to you by Wahoo. What a suite of products. You've got the pedals, the bike computers, the Rival Watch. The kicker bike that you use for indoor training has transformed me from an outdoor kiddie into an indoor kiddie during the wintertime. They've got it all. Just absolutely crushing. Mike Saturnia, the CEO over there, wonderful guy, leading a great company. So special offer for our listeners, 20% off if you use the code THEMOVE. That's 20% off, and the code is THEMOVE over at wahoofitness.com. That's wahoofitness.com.
I got to thank the boys at Wahoo personally as well, because we all know, even though you say you don't like biking anymore, if you don't bike for a long time, you get even more cranky. So Wahoo has been able to extend your cycling throughout the winter season here in Aspen, and I personally really appreciate this, Wahoo. Thank you very much.
Imagine what my family thinks. An exceptional ride by Tom Pidcock.
Well, hang on. We have this is a special edition of The Move.
My bad. I sort of got in the groove, and we've been asking him to come on for days. He's not been getting back to us. George.
I think he's got a really big head with all these picks from outcomes that now he doesn't feel like he needs us anymore.
No, he knows that he's back, and he's going to bless us with his presence today. Johann Bruyneel over there in Madrid, Spain. Yeah, goedemorgen. No,
Thank you for having me, guys. On the contrary to what Lance said, I had to invite myself because I was waiting for, to get the call, would you want to come on the move as a special guest? And, I said, after 11, 12 stages, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm inviting myself. So here I am, guys. Happy to be with you today.
And I almost forgot about it. That's God.
Hey, for those who watch the move on YouTube and Facebook, this is a good chance to add some clarity. You love Johann. You're asking where he is. You can get him every day. You can get him on JB Squared, which is in the move feed. You can get him in Outcomes, and you can get him in Spanish if you want on La Movida. We've got lots of channels for Johann.
Right.
But
and those audio options are everywhere. They're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play. All we put it out everywhere. So,
but we got him today.
We got him live and in the flesh. Johann, this is. I actually want to go back. I know we want to talk about Altuve. We want to talk about Tom Pidcock. We got a lot of stuff to touch on. But I want to go back, since we have you today. I want to go back to yesterday. Just some high level thoughts of this duel between Vingegaard and Pogacar, which took the most unexpected, at least as far as I'm concerned, the most unexpected turn we could have expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we knew since Roglic had the crash in the Roubaix stage, in the cobble stage, it was basically down to a fight between Vingegaard and Pogacar, and Jumbo-Visma, they're super strong and they're obviously not blind. They've seen that the team was weakened, so I think that was definitely their first objective, to isolate Pogacar. And personally, I think that Pogacar made a mistake by focusing too much on Roglic. I think Jumbo-Visma really played it well. They probably made it seem like Roglic was better than he was, and probably also there's a certain amount of respect from Pogacar towards Roglic. He knows how strong the guy is, and that played really well in their favor yesterday, because they started to attack him one by one, and Lance, you know better than anybody. If you're in yellow, your only focus is on number 2, right? And I think he made that mistake yesterday by going after both. Again, those violent accelerations out of the saddle, sprinting. And then on top of that, I think he made a vital mistake on the Galibier by setting the pace. And basically, he could have created a situation there where he could get 1 or 2 teammates back on the Galibier. Soler was not far, McNulty was not far, and Maika was not far. And but it's very easy to judge, when you're sitting on the couch and 1 or 2 hours or a day after the race, right?
Johann, I want you to break. Can you break this down a little bit? Because 2 things. If you look back historically on what happens on the Telegraph, I know from personal experience, 2011 when Cadel won the Tour de France, he had a mechanical. Contador, Andy Schleck, Vogler were going up the road, but we all know how long the Telegraph Galibier, not only the Telegraph Galibier, but the valley after the Galibier, how long that descent is, and the valley leading up to the next climb. I feel like you would have told, I even made that call that day on the road. I was like, hey, wait for us. We're 30 seconds behind you. We will do a lot more damage together as a team. Even though you have these amazingly strong guys ahead, we're going to put it all on the line for you to the top of the climb through the valley, and then just sit up on the last climb. So I feel like that was a huge mistake one. And I got another question for you. Do you think Jumbo already had a clear indication that Vingegaard was a lot stronger or much stronger than Roglic once they went to that altitude camp after the Dauphiné? Clearly, he looked stronger in the mountains in the Dauphiné. They went to the altitude camp. There had to have been some sort of hierarchy established there at that camp. And of course, nobody knew this, but I feel like we're getting a clearer indication now as the race is unfolding. What do you think?
Well, your first question, George, waiting for your teammates. It's not like Pogacar could wait, but he should never have pulled. And Jumbo-Visma would have done the opposite. Right. If Pogacar wouldn't pull, they would have gone back and they would have started the pull, right? Because they had the majority and they didn't want McNulty and Soler and Maika to come back. But at least Pogacar should have been on the wheel. Another mistake I think he made on the Galibier. You guys know how hard the Galibier is. I I was mind blown to see those super strong attacks on the lead up to the Galibier. I mean, knowing that you have 15 kilometers up to 2,600 meters. That's, I mean, just that climb. Every cyclist has respect for the Galibier, and these guys just, started to race like juniors. And I mean, it's incredible what kind of level these guys have. But another thing I saw is that it was super windy on the Galibier. And so, it's a zigzag, right? It's a zigzag. And so there's obviously plenty of stretches that are crosswind. And at no moment has Pogacar gone to the side of the road, just to put them in the wind. He was always in the middle. Vingegaard was basically, smoking cigars in the wheel, completely protected from the wind. And I think he really was overconfident on the Galibier. I think that's the main thing. Yes, he responded to those attacks and everything, but the biggest mistake he made was that he pulled for the whole Galibier afterwards. With no damage done because none of the teammates were really far back from Jumbo-Visma, and his teammates were further back than they should have been.
Yeah, maybe slightly overconfident. Clearly, and he clearly didn't listen to the podcast yesterday because he didn't do what we advised him to do yesterday, which was priority number one: do not lose time. Okay, well, he didn't lose time. Priority number two. Just sit and wait. You have plenty of time to make back 3 minutes. You're not going to get it all at one time anyways, but just wait, conserve, reassess, reset. Don't lose time. He didn't do that. He was attacking. Vingegaard was following him easily. And then, as if we haven't learned, he does the same thing at the finish line for, I don't even know what place, 4th or 5th place, sprinting for the line. Vingegaard easily on the wheel, gets no time bonus, no time difference. I don't get it.
Yeah. Now and George, your second question, did they know that Vingegaard was so strong? Of course, they definitely knew because, whatever the results are in the races, we saw in the Dauphiné that he was stronger than Roglic. There, the assumption was that Roglic just came back to racing and he came back from injury. But, listen, yesterday, Vingegaard did 6.1 watts per kilo over 36 minutes. Wow. This is at altitude. So this is better than the best performance Johann Bruyneel has ever done at altitude.
Well, and at the end of the stage. Yes, we all know that, but it's worth repeating.
Yeah. So and also, yesterday I watched that documentary. It's called Plan B of Jumbo-Visma, and it was about last year's Tour de France and all the obstacles they had to overcome. And I think they knew how strong Vingegaard was. To me, it was a bit surprising last year that they didn't have like a clear long-term plan because they went from day to day. But at the same time, you have to say, they lost a lot of riders. Roglic, their leader, crashed out, and they just took it day by day. For sure, this year it's different. They went in with two leaders, that's for sure. But I think they knew that what performance Vingegaard was putting out, and that those numbers must have been better than Roglic numbers he has ever done.
Yeah, because we questioned on the cobblestone stage, them being separated by 30 seconds. Why wouldn't they wait for each other and go as a whole team? But now I feel like they knew that he was better and they were all in for Vingegaard, even though they would never say that publicly.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that, George. I mean, the cobblestone stage. I mean, how hectic and how fast you have to make decisions. And on top of that, they didn't know how Roglic was going to recover from. I mean, how bad it was going to be, this separated shoulder. So, I mean, Vingegaard had 3 guys and Roglic had 3 guys. Yeah. Because there you really have to make a decision in a split second. And I think, as I said, when we comment, we already know the outcome, so it's easy to do. But if you're there in the middle of the action, I think they wanted to play it safe, and just at least save half of their tour. And turns out that the fastest climber was in front.
And we're going to get more into that dynamic between Vingegaard and Pogacar when it comes to the GC, because it continued to unfold today on Alpe d'Huez. Worth noting, Tom Pidcock, exceptional. By the way, This stage, we looked at somebody's Strava. So for you vert geeks at home, or anybody that likes to, I'm happy if I go. This is legit, okay? If I go out for a normal ride and I get 3,000 feet in, so roughly 1,000 meters, I'm like, cool, good day. If I got 4,000, I'd be super psyched. Today's stage, 16,000 vertical feet, just under 5,000 meters of total climbing, kids. All right, put that pipe and smoke it. Wow. I mean, that is...
Put the heat on there, and
dude,
the attacks from the beginning.
And you see these, these cruising up these mountains, but at the end of the day, 16,000 vertical feet.
That's
epic,
unreal.
Epic. And Tom Pidcock, and of course, it's worth noting, we got to talk about it. And George was, if y'all had a camera into the TV room watching this thing, if you all would have seen how excited George Hincapie was that another man was in the breakaway. When he saw Chris Froome in the break, he was fucking moonwalking across the living room. And I'm like, bro, just sit down. This is not, but you got to give it to Froome. He, bridged across, got in that break.
Not only that, I always say that this start, and Johann, you understand why I say this is the hardest start in all of cycling. 40 kilometers, essentially all uphill, very tough to make a breakaway. Chris came from behind with Pidcock and made an amazing move over the top of the Glibier, bridging up to those guys on the descent, and then the climb out of the Telegraph. I mean, from what he's been through, I think it's awesome. He got third place in Alpe d'Huez, one of the most iconic Tour de France stages ever.
It's and I don't want to rain on your party, but breakaways like moves like that. It's good to ever be in a breakaway and have potential to win Alpe d'Huez. Days like that for a rider like Chris Froome, that sends you to retirement. I promise.
So explain that.
Well,
yes, please explain that.
Here's a man who's won 4 tours. He's not, in his mind, he is a tour champion, right? He could still win a 5th tour. That person, and I've been that guy in the comeback years. That person is not a breakaway specialist. But let's just say you do get in the breakaway like he did today. I did the same thing in 2010, got in a long breakaway in the Pyrenees. Into Po, and couldn't, and wasn't even close to winning the stage. I knew, and I'm not. This is not a criticism of Chris Froome, or I'm just telling you the way it is. You get in that break, you realize I'm a 7-time Tour de France winner. I am in a long breakaway that nobody gives a shit about. They are letting it go, and I can't even win today. I need to go home. Straight up.
I don't know if I agree with that. Johann, back me up here.
Hang on a second. This is not I'm not asking you if you agree. I'm telling you what it felt like to be there, and I promise you, he thinks the same thing.
But you came.
I'm not sure.
You came back.
I'm
you
not
have.
Sure.
Johann,
we're not going to gang up on Lance, okay?
You came back from one of the biggest comebacks in the history of sport. Okay, you were on your deathbed. That's different. Your second comeback, you came back from like partying with Matthew McConaughey in LA for 2 years. It was a different kind of a comeback, okay? Let's not call this a comeback. We're talking about Chris Froome, who had, I don't know how many broken bones.
He didn't go party for a couple
second
years?
comeback's a little different.
And
like, we make party, I come back.
And you know what's interesting? All those rounds of chemotherapy and surgery might have been easier on the body than the parties with McConaughey.
Johann, you were gonna chime in on this issue.
Yeah, I think it's if you see the dedication of Froome and how he tries and tries and tries, I'm sure today he considers this a small victory. For sure, he was thinking about winning, but he's not stupid. He knows where he has been, and he knows how he has felt in the first 11 days of the Tour de France. So he knew for sure that he couldn't beat Pidcock. I'm pretty sure about that. But he will be. He will be. I think he will be happy today with his performance. I mean, this is the first time he has been in the game for a win in any bike race, not just the Tour, in any bike race, even the smaller races. So I think it's progress.
I agree.
But then again, this is Chris Froome, and we all know now that he is never going to get back to the level he had before. And even if he would get close to that level is not enough, not even close for being on the podium of the Tour de France.
I will add this real quick, because Lance keeps generously throwing out random things he will eat if something happens. If Chris gets a stage win before this is over, what's on your plate?
Well, during the stage, as George was moonwalking across the living room and thought his man was going to win, every morning we got the foam roller there. You might have seen us on socials just getting the old body warmed up. I said it. I'm not going to eat the metal Eiffel Tower. I survived that crisis or that challenge. But I said, if Chris Froome wins today, I will eat this foam roller. And thank God he didn't.
But let's we'll go back. Finish. Give me 1 second.
Okay,
this breakaway was
as many seconds as you want.
A very, very tough breakaway. There was only like very strong riders in there. Nielsen Powless, Mengies, Pidcock, Froome. I mean, it was a very impressive breakaway. We all know there's no easy task making that breakaway, especially with that start, 40 kilometers uphill. So this was like a no panic cooking breakaway. Look at my bottle. No. Don't be a panic cooking.
No. Hey, today's show also. Hang on, Johann.
George, it's panacook, not panacook.
Exactly. JB, correct.
Have you watched the show? We don't pronounce anything right. We say it the way we say it.
This is called show business, okay? Not business, all right? Today's show, speaking of business, today's show brought to you by Roca. Rob and his crew have this is the coolest shade brand in the business. On the sunglass side, the prescription side, they do have the best optics on the market, and the frames and everything about it. They never slip. They're super light, hand built to order in my hometown of Austin, Texas, and an update on the Roca front because I had a rough couple of days. All right, so leading up to July 4th, I went hard, not on the bike. I went hard July 2nd. July 3rd, I go down see Stapleton in Denver. Went hard. July 4th, I barely remember. And I lost, and Rob sends me my readers, and my favorite pair were gone. They're all gone. Kids, look what is back, okay? The black readers are back. I found them under my car. So I was digging in my car for a week. I found them yesterday. So Rob, you don't need to send me another pair. Thank you so much. Special offer for our listeners. Everybody's like, who gives a shit? Special offer, 20% off. Just go to Roca. That's ROKA.com. 20% off. That's ROKA.com and use THEMOVE at checkout.
All right.
Back to today. Are you done? Are you back to today?
Go ahead.
Who's benefiting the most from all of these attacks right now? Johann?
From which attacks?
From the Pogacar Vingegaard attacks. Full gas attacks. Who's benefiting right now and is looking amazingly strong, better and better by the day?
Geraint Thomas.
Geraint Thomas. Exactly.
I wouldn't say he's looking better, but he's an older rider. He has tons of experience. He knows that he doesn't have the firepower or the punch to follow these young guys. He knows how to hold his pace and his rhythm, and he's doing it. I mean, let them go up the road, let them fight each other, and just stay in your pace, you're in your zone, and bring them back. He's doing a great job of that.
Well, while we're talking pacing, we were all in awe of Sepp Kuss today.
Yeah.
You don't ever see that. Usually when someone drops off after they've done a long pull, they just soft pedal their way in. He came back 3 times.
I told y'all. I said this yesterday. I said, you watch Sepp Kuss. He is going to be a complete rock star tomorrow. And guess what? I mean, the kid. I mean, it's boomstick. Can we all agree he gets the boomstick? Yep. Okay. Sepp Kuss, the boomstick for today. What a stud. I mean, and he looked easy.
Yeah, and not only that, they had
rode within himself. He couldn't follow those accelerators. Just stayed with his tempo. Came back,
and it looked like they had that planned from before the start of the Alpe d'Huez because he was hanging back behind Vingegaard and then went up to the front when everybody else pulled off. So they had a clear plan. He must have communicated with them that he's feeling really good on a great day, and he was still there with them at the end after pulling basically the last half of that climb.
And just to give you some numbers. Right? When the group got down to 20 riders, they had 5 riders. Got down to 12, they had 4 riders. Got down to the final end, they had Kuss with him. I mean, those are numbers. We haven't seen those numbers since the Blue Train, motherfuckers. Remember that? That's right. But yeah, I mean, we haven't seen these numbers since George was worried that people would be mad and that they wouldn't like us. Do you think anybody on Jumbo-Visma looked around? Do you think Wout van Aert said, "Guys, one of you guys should sit up, otherwise we're not going to win we're not going to win the popularity contest."
There's no doubt. There's no better feeling than when you have 6 or 7 guys left in a bunch of 30, and a guy like Laporte, for instance, pulling up Croix de Fer. He's not a real climber, but he's putting some of the best climbers in the world in the hurt locker because he knows his race is over at the top essentially, or a couple of K from the top. So you can ride your own pace as hard as you want. You're not saving it for the end. And that makes a real difference when you're one of the best climbers in the world and you're sitting in the middle of this bunch of 30 guys going, I could drop this guy with one leg and he's making me suffer up this climb. And mentally, that's a very tough thing to go through for these guys.
Or you're a rider who was a podium favorite of Vlasov, who's getting dropped by Wout van Aert, who's seemingly been on the front of the bike race for 12 days.
Yeah.
How's that for the morale?
Yeah, they're dropping some huge mental bombs in the rest of the peloton right now.
See, that is... I'm so glad you said that. That is what is meant. That's what it's meant to be doing.
Yep.
It's not. This is not a popularity contest. This is meant to also. It's physical and mental warfare.
That's right.
And keep in mind, UAE took another hit with COVID, losing a manager. So that's just like
their lead director out.
Every day they wake up, it's just like another nip at their heels.
Well, and you just wonder, and hope. I certainly hope that it doesn't spread anymore and potentially affect Tadej Pogacar. Nobody wants that. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jonathan Vaughters wants it based on his Twitter activity yesterday, which is just just such a dickhead comment. But nobody wants that. Right? We want this.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I understand. You're 5,000 miles away, but I know we're lockstep on this. Last one of the day. Today's show also brought to you by HVMN. This phenomena of ketones is not going away. Right? You saw that team today that totally dominated the Tour de France. We know what they are. We know they're optimizing training, performance, nutrition, and we also know that they are consuming a ton of ketones, which is. George, I mean, it is what it is, right? There's a lot of buzz, but it is max performance. HVMN has completely perfected the ketone ester. Their new product, the Ketone IQ, tastes better, more effective, lower cost. Up to 60% of these teams in the Tour are using it. Head on over to hvmn.com. Use the promo code THEMOVE20. That's 20% off at hvmn.com.
And we got fooled. Let's pull up the picture of Pogacar at the start. Everybody's wondering what's happening here. Well, Dr. G knows what's happening.
So here we have a couple of photos, and we get a lot of photos sent in from listeners and viewers. And a little there's something going on inside the sock, right around the ankle. Now, if you go back to that other photo, that looks like some sort of a BOA dial to me, but we can't see it.
Would you like to know what it is?
We'd love to know.
Ice cubes.
Oh, that's genius.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
I thought I was
you
thinking.
You heard it here
I was
from Dr. J.
Thinking
it's
tater tots, but ice
Wait
cubes
a second.
makes more sense.
Oh, look, I just got a note from one of my sources.
A little bit behind me.
I didn't because I didn't check my messages. It's ice. So I didn't, which I know everybody has gotten to be really huge fans of my rapping and singing. Dung 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 dung. Ice, baby. Right?
That's right.
All right, stop.
That's right.
Collaborate and listen.
Oh, no.
Ice is back with a brand new invention. Ooh. By the way, we grew up
just like ice. Just like ice.
Were you
here and there?
drag racing?
You knew it.
He also had a white IROC. Believe it or not, Robbie Van Winkle also had
a Mustang guy. I thought.
Oh, well,
cruising force lane.
Close enough. Ice, baby.
We got Lance rapping on the show now.
Hey, we got to give a little more love to Pidcock for a couple things. One, Johann was the first to ever mention this kid's name to us.
I remember it. I was
who? Such a future star. You got, and if you didn't see him descending with Chris Froome and bridging a gap, he was flying on the outside of this moment right here. His bike handling is ridiculous. And that was incredible to watch.
Well, he not for nothing. He's one of the best cyclocross riders in the world. He's the Olympic mountain bike champion. Yeah, this is stuff that he, compared to a lot of these guys in the group, I mean, we're talking about the top 1 or 2%, maybe even the best downhiller in the peloton.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that he's one of the best bike handlers in the peloton. And he actually said, in fact, during the interview that this is probably the best day in his life on the bicycle, even better than the Olympics.
And we do have a clip from him from the post-interview talking about today.
That was certainly one of my best experiences in cycling. That was unreal. Like, when you are literally slaloming through people's flags, fists, and God knows what else. It's you cannot experience that anywhere else in anything other than Alpe d'Huez at the Tour de France.
And what a symbol to do it with Chris Froome, 4-time winner of the Tour de France. That must have been something to have him alongside.
Yeah, it was pretty nice getting across there with him. I mean, we worked well together. But yeah, I mean, he's a legend, and I just beat him up there afterwards. But I mean, maybe he's not as fast as he once was, but he's still Chris Froome.
Ooh. Well, there's no maybe in this the scenario, but
a lot of props there though from him to Froome, and also, I mean, the way he rode up Alpe d'Huez, he didn't really have to do that. He could have crushed those guys fingers in the nose if he stayed with Menkes and Froome to the top of Alpe d'Huez, but he must have been on an amazing day and went with over 10 kilometers to go to the top. What an incredible ride.
Yeah. And reminder, his first Tour de France. And I want to see more of him in the Grand Tours because he's also got a great personality. Yeah. They go to him post-race often. Just
well, they went to him on one of stage 3 or 4 and asked him about Wout van Aert. And I quote, I would never say anything like this, and I quote, he's just playing with our balls. He said that to a journalist.
That's why I like this guy.
And he's creeped into top 10 overall in the Tour de France. He's sitting in 8th place overall right now.
And the first stage win for Ineos.
Yep.
So we talk about this dynamic of teams that,
So how many do we have now? Totals?
Not just the first stage win for Ineos, the first stage win in any Grand Tour this year for Ineos. They didn't win stage in the Giro. And not now. And let's not forget, the kid is 22 years old. He is already a multiple world champion in different disciplines. On the road in the juniors, cyclocross in the professionals, Olympic mountain bike champion, and now he wins. I would say arguably the biggest stadium in pro cycling, right? Alpe d'Huez. In the first time he participates in the Tour and his first time racing up Alpe d'Huez. I mean. And let's not forget, this guy won the Baby Giro a few years ago. So I think that guy is a GC contender for the future.
Yeah, that's a great point, Johan. There's all these climbs in Tour de France have a ton of spectators, but there's nothing like the Alpe d'Huez where you have each corner is a different country. The Dutch corner, the Danish corner, the Norwegian corner. The parties are going on for days leading up to when the riders get there. There is nothing like a finish on top of Alpe d'Huez.
Let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow's a beast. It doesn't look like today's stage, but I promise you, these boys are dreading tomorrow's stage into Saint Etienne, the Massif Central. So just so you know, so Bourg de Doisson, that's the little village right at the base of Alpe d'Huez. This is a beast of a day. It's fairly long, almost 200 kilometers, and it's going to be hot. It's Johan, you can touch on it. I mean, these were days. As a director and as a team that was in the lead, you absolutely dreaded these days, right?
And look at the profile. I mean, downhill start. It's going to be like super fast, and then on that first climb, the third cat climb, it's going to be hell. Obviously, the only thing for Jumbo-Visma, they know they have by far the strongest team, and it's not even close. There's no other team that is even near them. Once the breakaway is gone, it's the distance is already very defined and determined now in GC in the top 10, 15. So they'll be okay. But these are days that the peloton, once the breakaway is gone, and there will for sure be a breakaway. There is no chance in the world that this is going to be a stage finish between the big guys. Then, Jumbo-Visma will go in their cruise mode, but this is still a very, very hard day for the rest of the peloton. The heat, the constantly up and down. We have a third category, a second category, and a third category, but in between, there's probably 10 more of these climbs that are not a category. And it's super hard terrain. Into Saint Etienne, it's always super difficult.
And the pavement is it's chip seal. So it's a very, very it is a slow pavement, right? So the kilometers just that's not similar to pavement that they had a few days ago in Switzerland.
It rolls, fatigues you more too.
Oh, absolutely, it rolls very slow. It's super sluggish, and then you layer in the heat, you layer in the undulation, the up and down.
I think as far as tactics go, it's probably one of the most easiest stages to predict, Johan. With the strength of Jumbo, all they have to do is put 3 or 4 of their guys at the front and early on. It doesn't matter who's getting away. As long as they stay together, they'll be able to close anything down that they need to.
Yeah, and on top of that, let's not forget, they have Wout van Aert.
Yeah.
That guy alone is that's like a life insurance. So no, I mean it's gonna be you know there's obviously gonna be a lot of guys who want to go in climbs in the breakaways, guys who took it easy yesterday and today, if you can call it taking it easy, but no, tomorrow's a breakaway day for sure.
That's going to be a tough one for outcomes because there's a tough stage to predict. But I mean, you're seeing who's strong. You know who's strong and who can make those breakaways. So it'll be interesting to see who you come up with for the outcomes show.
Mm-hmm.
George, I know you had we'll get to our feed voting in a second, but you had some questions about Jumbo and their training camp or altitude camp.
Yeah, no, we talked about that earlier. But Johann, in terms of the last climb today up Alpe d'Huez, were they just trying to limit the attacks, or you think they were trying to put the nail in the coffin of Pogacar after what happened yesterday?
I don't think so. I was a bit puzzled though, but you know, all of a sudden they started to go faster and a lot faster on Croix de Fer, and then they kind of slowed down again. So I don't know if they really if they already wanted to isolate Pogacar on the Croix de Fer. I don't know. It was a bit strange, but I think on the Alpe d'Huez, they were just riding, you know, every single guy their own tempo on the watts that they know that they can produce, and they knew that whenever Sepp Kuss or when Roglic was starting to pull, there were going to be 10 guys left. So no, I didn't see anything special behind those tactics. No.
Got it.
Okay. Cool. I'm sorry, I can't read your handwriting. I tried. It's more challenging.
I'm curious. I'm feeling good. We know that we got the vote going on between G and myself, our custom bottles. I'm still Captain Cranky. I've been making a bit of a comeback.
Oh, no way. I'm down by one.
He is now in second place, a.k.a. first loser, George Hincapie. 642 for Lance, 641 for George. These are our special bottle competition with thefeed.com. And you buy anything over at thefeed.com, you get your own custom bottle. You can put whatever you want on there, put your name on there. That's over at thefeed.com, which is, I think, one of the coolest business concepts out there.
I'm actually going to protest this because I feel like it's very unfair that our head of HR is putting all these fancy posts together about voting for me, voting for you, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm down one. I mean, this isn't your role, Courtney. We need to have a HR meeting after this.
I'm staying out of that. I'm winning. I'm in the Mayo Jean, the Mellow Johnny. All right,
we've got some great news regarding Bikes for Kids Uvalde. You guys, our listeners, are stepping up really big. Here is a new total.
Wow.
219,328
of a goal of 230.
Yeah, this is really, really good news, and we're working on the date to get down there and do it. And we'll let all of you that bought a bike or more, you'll be contacted and given information to join us for that. Jeff Barry, thanks for your 4 bike donations. Same thing, Owen McCabe, Alred Herrera, $2,500 towards bikes. Heather Layson Brown, 4 bikes. People are just throwing down big. It's really great.
My buddy Eric from Breckenridge, who's got the coolest pub, bar, restaurant in all of Breck. Everybody that's been to Breckenridge knows that. But Eric's Downstairs is called. I think he did 10 bikes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Eric, thank you so much.
Yeah. Matt Bronzek, Dave Donahue, thank you very much. All right, some questions here real quick.
All right.
And Johann, I'm reminding you got 3 more shows to do today.
Yeah, it's late nights for me doing the tour.
I bet. Here we go. It says, I know you can paint a bike. I know you can dye fabric, but I doubt the teams have a facility to recolor all their equipment should a rider get in yellow, green, etc.
This is a good question.
Does each team come prepared with a yellow kit for each rider they think has a chance, plus spares, or do they get Amazon to deliver it as quick as they can? That's from Ben in Durham, North Carolina.
Are we referring to bikes or
all their kit, everything?
All
yeah, I mean,
they just before you answer, it goes a little far. Okay.
Yeah. No.
But you would know a lot about the scoop. But sometimes it's like we don't need like yellow everything.
They have the bar tape. They have a couple spare frames laying around for some of their guys that think they may have a chance. And then they'll build the frame up overnight. The mechanics will go to work and build up whatever yellowish frame they have.
And their supplier can get on it pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're not,
helmets and
not
gloves
every
and all
team's not carrying around for every rider a yellow bike, a green bike, a polka dot bike, a white bike. The manufacturer can jump in pretty quick.
Yeah, I just always hear you guys talk about a lot of like juju and superstition. It seems counterintuitive to say we're bringing all this yellow and green stuff before you get it. Anyway,
Well, in our case too, with Lance, 4 or 5, maybe a week before the finish of the Tour de France, when they had sort of an idea if he was going to win or not, they would print out jerseys with a yellow band for the rest of the team or something that had yellow in it. So we would usually wear something a little bit different for the last stage into Paris, which I thought was kind of cool.
Quick comment. Something I find interesting is that Geraint Thomas is very easy to spot in the peloton due to his bright white Oakley sunglasses. Everyone seemingly wears oversized ski glasses, but not him. His shades remind me of George's look back in the day. Maybe that's why George likes him so much.
Well,
Hashtag man crush.
And the thing that stands out the most for me is his position on the bike. You can really see it from the helicopter shot. And when it starts going harder, start going faster, the road starts going up. He is sitting literally on the tip of his saddle. Like you basically see the whole saddle. I can spot him a mile away like that.
Okay, this is a good question and good with Johann on as well. How much time do you think Jonas needs before a final time trial? That's from Chris.
Hey, the kid can time trial.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a lot of time.
No,
I wouldn't look. It's Tadej Pogacar who's is exceptional. I would. I wouldn't. This is a Johan question, but if you're asking me, and I want to hear Johan's point, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't be comfortable with anything under 30 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget, guys. And Pogacar did not take any risks, but he did beat Pogacar in the last time trial last year. He was 3rd, and I think Pogacar was 7th. So he is a good time trial, and we all know, in the last time trial is a matter of legs and not so much about time trial specialists. So I say Pogacar needs to get within 45 seconds for the time trial to have a chance to win. So he has a few stages where he can try to do that, but it's definitely not going to be easy.
I agree, and there's a lot of action between now and the time trial. Where I think we'll see plenty of fireworks before the time trial. And also, let's not forget, in the first time trial last year, Vingegaard got 2nd behind Pogacar by not that much of a time gap, if I remember correctly.
I think they are fairly equal when it comes to.
And then you throw the yellow jersey on your back.
Yeah, you throw all but apples to apples, pretty even.
Pogacar got 7 seconds on Vingegaard in the prologue in the first time trial. So I think Pogacar is a bit better time trialist, but not that much. Yeah. And the last time trial, that's really irrelevant.
Right.
One more quick one. Speaking of Bastille Day, I remember hearing that Richard Virenque was the housewives' favorite. What does that mean exactly? And is there one now?
That's funny. He was Lance's favorite too.
And it says, hope Johann's dogs are doing well. That's from Patrick in Boone, North Carolina.
They're sitting here.
Lance, are you going to comment? Lance,
they're laying here with me, my dogs. Hey, Lance, say something about Dickie V.
Dickie V! We used to call him Dickie V. He'd go on the breakaway and people start yelling at him, Dickie V! Richard Virenque. I mean, yeah.
No comment.
What next? We're going to talk about Alberto Contador, whatever his name was, the pink whistle?
The equivalent of the housewife's favorite right now is for sure, no contest, is Thibaut Pinot in France. That's the most popular rider. Everybody loves him. He's nice. He goes in attacks. When it doesn't work out, he cries a bit.
What about Bardet?
And he has goats. He breeds goats. So it's people love him.
What about Romain Bardet? He's in 4th overall. He's running an incredible tour.
But Pinot is way more popular. More popular.
George, I feel like we're cutting into our riding time.
Yeah,
for talking about nothing.
Hey, it was a big day. It was a big stage.
And the next 2 days are, in this vein of jumping ahead. Tomorrow's very hard. The day after, kids, I climb up to Munda. Fireworks.
Now,
Yeah,
that is a good opportunity for Pogacar.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 kilometers, super steep.
Yep.
He's great at those efforts.
Yep.
That's the first time he's going to try to carve into that difference.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Johann, thanks for being here, man. We've been asking you for days. Thanks for finally coming on.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
All right. See y'all later.